So, Kelly B over on Facebook has asked, please review Thor, Thor 2, Avengers Assemble, etc. Thank you, please. I'm not one to disappoint. Let's do just that. So with Guardians of the Galaxy coming out next week, there's no better time to do a bit of a recap of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it stands to date. Now, I'm not going to do a full review of each movie, but I will go into what I thought of it and give a sort of indication where I think it ranks in the current list of Marvel movies. I don't think there's any better way to do this than chronologically, so let's start with Iron Man. Directed by Jon Favreau, Iron Man was the first entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously by that point there was no such thing, it was still Paramount. Iron Man starred Robert Downey Jr., who at the time was just on a comeback mission after having some, let's just say, personal issues. People were wondering, could he get it back? Could he carry a movie? In fact, people were mostly wondering, what the hell is Iron Man? Why should we see this shit? Boy, were they wrong. Iron Man surprised everybody. It wasn't just a fun little comic book movie, but it had elements of everything. It's like a superb summer blockbuster movie. Like I say, it took everyone by surprise. Robert Downey Jr. absolutely killed it. It absolutely relaunched his career. And it just came out this week that he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood again. The man deserves it. He's pretty much responsible for Marvel's success because he did so well in Iron Man that Marvel thought, right, we've got a winner here, let's just start throwing these movies out. And it wasn't just a case of just throwing them out. They did a damn good job every time. Almost every time, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So I absolutely loved Iron Man, and for a long time it sat at the top of the list for Marvel movies. Next up, The Incredible Hulk, directed by Louis Leterrier and starring Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. Bit of an odd one, as it wasn't that long ago that the Hulk was released, but it was absolutely slammed by critics and wasn't particularly loved by the public, so they started a reboot for it. Even more weirdly, Edward Norton didn't come back to reprise the role of Bruce Banner for the Avengers, so it just kind of feels a bit more of a standalone movie. However, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was still very, very good, and obviously a lot better than Ang Lee's attempt with Eric Bana. Edward Norton was quality. He brought a sense of realism to Bruce Banner. Even Liv Tyler was good, and I'm not a massive fan of Liv Tyler. But it also had Tim Roth, who I absolutely love, and seeing Tim Roth become the Abomination and have a big fight in the middle of a city with the Hulk, that was just spectacular, and not something we'd really seen up until this point, or not done that well at least anyway. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Like I say, it feels a bit more standalone, but it is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I don't care what you say, and it's still really good and still definitely worth your time. Then came the sequel to Iron Man 2, once again directed by Jon Favreau and starring Robert Downey Jr. Now this one was a bit weak. I still enjoyed it. It still had moments. Robert Downey Jr. was excellent, obviously, but it introduced us to Scarlett Johansson's character, the Black Widow, who comes back in several other movies. So it has that going for it. You know, Scarlett Johansson in spandex. High five, anyone? It also had Mickey Rourke as the main villain. Whiplash, not the best villain you've ever seen. In fact, from what I remember, he just sat around brooding about his bird. I want my bird. Get another bird, you douche. Secondary villain was played by Sam Rockwell, and he was fantastic. He just goes on a massive monologue in the middle of a movie that absolutely steals the show. It was fantastic. That being said, the rest of the movie was just okay. Not terrible by any means, but definitely not good enough for the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. Then Marvel announced they were going to do a Thor movie. I think everyone was a bit sort of taken aback by that, wondering how, because they'd managed to make the Hulk and Iron Man sort of live in a reality that we could identify with, how were they going to bring down a Norse god type character and make that believable? I'll tell you how. You bring on Kenneth Branagh to direct, and you also install Chris Hemsworth in the title role. This guy is Thor. I watched Rush recently where he plays James Hunt, the F1 driver, and it was just Thor in a helmet and a race car. He just is Thor. The man's massive. He has the looks, he has the personality, he's perfect. And bringing on Kenneth Branagh to direct was just a masterstroke. Because The film plays out like a Shakespearean play. It's about conflict between a son and his dad and family issues. There's obviously the villain who's also part of the family and conflict left, right and centre. It's very sort of Shakespearean, says the guy who can't stand Shakespeare and's never really read it. I'm just going off other people's words here. Sorry. But as we all know, Kenneth Branagh does Shakespeare and he does it well. I was forced to watch one of his Shakespeare movies. I can't remember which one it was because I fell asleep. That's not to say the movie was bad. Just Shakespeare, man. Yeah, again, Thor surprised everybody. Not only did it work, but it was good. In fact, it was really good. Now on to what I believe is the weakest movie of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Captain America the First Avenger. Directed by Joe Johnston and starring Chris Evans in the title role. Sets up the story of Captain America, obviously, but its main aim was to try and lead on to the Avengers. Because Captain America is pretty much the leader of the Avengers, because he is the big boy scout, they had to get him in before the Avengers movie came around. And that's literally what it feels like. They just rushed this out. I don't want to say it was terrible, but it's not far off terrible. I enjoyed it at the time, but I've watched it a couple of times since, and it's weak in pretty much every way. The only thing that keeps it together is the cast. Like, obviously Chris Evans is fantastic. Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull tries his best to make the villain believable, but at the end of the day, it's the most cartoony of all the villains and of all the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, to be quite honest. Because Captain America for me is one of the weakest characters. I can't identify to him. He's too nice. There's no real dark side to him. And what's the point of that? There's nothing exciting about watching somebody just being nice all the time. And I think as well, with it being set during World War II, I just kind of lost interest a bit. I wanted it to be more modern day, but again, they had to do that to set the character up. I understand why they went the way they did. I just don't think it turned out very well. But as I said, that was just pretty much trying to lead into the Avengers, or Avengers Assemble as it was called in the UK, but I will forever just call it the Avengers because I hate that title. Joss Whedon came on board and geeks all around the world collectively laid in their bed, covered in their own geekgasms, because Joss Whedon is the master of nerdery. There's no doubt about it. It was revealed yesterday, in fact, that not only did he come on to direct, he pretty much ripped the script up that he was given and said, you don't want to do that, you want to do this. And at this point, he hadn't even got the job, by the way. He just kind of walked into Marvel Studios and went, that Avengers thing you've got going on. No. Try this. And they just went, do you want to direct it for us as well? Brilliant. By this point, obviously, they'd brought Captain America into modern day, so we didn't have to worry about too much World War II shite. And just seeing all these characters come together, these characters that we've already spent quite a bit of time with, so we didn't have to have too much backstory going in, because we'd already had it. And they all just come together and then just start bouncing off each other. The banter, the ego clashes, everything was absolutely perfect. Obviously, we had Mark Ruffalo come in to replace Edward Norton as the Hulk. That was a bit of a worry, because the whole idea of the movies before this was to get us used to the characters so that we could have this big collective. But to be honest, it didn't make much of a difference. Mark Ruffalo was awesome. In fact, he was probably better than Edward Norton. So obviously this rocketed right to the top of my Marvel list. Almost perfect summer action comic book blockbuster. Trying to think of any negatives or anything in it that I don't particularly like, and I can't. Nope. Pretty much perfect movie. So that ended what quickly became known as Marvel Phase 1. Phase 2 kicked off once again with Iron Man 3. This time Jon Favreau had stepped aside, still stayed in the movie as Happy Hogan, but directing duties were taken over by Shane Black. Now, I absolutely love Shane Black. The guy was 21 when he wrote Lethal Weapon. He was the first person to sell a screenplay for over $1 million. The guy just has the life that I wish that I had more motivation to chase. But not only did he write Lethal Weapon, starring Predator, but he directed a film called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also starring Robert Downey Jr. So they already had a chemistry to work off. And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, by the way, if you haven't seen it, check that out. It's class. It's a bit film noirish, but funny as hell. Like I said, Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, brilliant film. Check it out. Anyway, back to Iron Man 3. There was a bit of controversy surrounding this film because of the way that they dealt with one of the characters, the Mandarin, who is, in the comic books, Iron Man's main villain. Obviously, since the first film came out, super fans were all pounding Marvel saying, when are we going to see the Mandarin? When are we going to see the Mandarin? And I think Jon Favreau had come out a couple of times saying he's a bit hard to put on screen, we're not sure how to deal with him. Enter Drew Pearce and Shane Black, who wrote the script for Iron Man 3. They found a way to deal with him, and I absolutely loved it. But fans were not so happy. Slight spoiler alert if you haven't seen the film. First of all, stop watching this. Go and see the film. Second of all, maybe cover your ears for 20 seconds. Starting now. The way they dealt with the Mandarin was pretty much make him a joke. He was being coerced into doing what he was doing by Guy Pearce's character, and he was essentially just an actor from Britain played by Ben Kingsley to absolute perfection. Hopefully I said all that within the 20-second time limit. You can now uncover your ears and we'll crack on. So yeah, Iron Man 3, mixed reviews, mostly from Super Marvel fans who weren't happy with how the Mandarin was dealt with. They brought it down a little bit, but for me, it was up there with the Avengers. Mostly because of Ben Kingsley's performance as the Mandarin. The Mandarin. I would say it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Perfect. Next up in Phase 2 was Thor the Dark World, obviously a sequel to Thor. And once again, upped its game. There's always a thing where people say sequels never live up to the original, and Iron Man 2 followed that formula, and then everything just got its shit together. Iron Man 3 was better than Iron Man 2, possibly about as good as Iron Man 1, and then Thor the Dark World absolutely eclipsed Thor. The Dark World was directed by Alan Taylor, who Game of Thrones fans will be very familiar with. Right there and then, when I found out it was going to be Alan Taylor, I was like, if anyone can handle Asgard, it's going to be Alan Taylor. And you know what? I was right. This film surpasses the original in every way, bar one, and that one little blip is Sir Anthony Hopkins' performance. It just seemed a little bit wooden to me, but I've seen other reviews where people are praising him. So what was it? Is it just me? A lot of the time it just felt like he was reading the script off a sheet of paper in front of him, like he was in, like doing the table read or something. Not really what you come to expect from Sir Anthony, but let's be honest, the man's still a legend. Everyone's allowed one off day. Now, the last film to be released in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the date that I am recording this now was Captain America the Winter Soldier. As I said before, wasn't a big fan of Captain America, not a big fan of the character in general, but somehow this is up there with the Avengers. Even for a while I thought it might be better than the Avengers. Anthony and Joe Russo came on to direct. Now those guys have done a fair bit of TV work. If anyone's seen Community, you'll know that every season they seem to have this like a paintball episode where they just go around the college blasting each other with paintballs. Anthony and Joe Russo tended to direct those, so they have a good eye for action, even though in that case it was highly stylized comedic paintball gun type action. They still knew what they were doing, and my god, they know what they're doing when they're given a big budget. Sometimes when directors make the step up from TV to film, it doesn't quite go very well, but these guys were so good they've already been signed up to do Captain America 3. It takes place modern day. Captain America's fighting alongside Scarlett Johansson again. Scarlett Johansson in spandex. The film plays out as a sort of a spy thriller, like an old school spy thriller. Not quite Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, there's a lot more action in it than that, but it just has a very sort of espionage feel. Basically the film revolves around Nick Fury and some things going on within S.H.I.E.L.D., so he enlists Captain America and the Black Widow to sort it out. But what was really good about this film is that it changed the game for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It didn't just set up the next movie, it affected every single one of them going forward, as well as the TV series Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was running at the time this was released. And the storyline in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sort of caught up with the events of Captain America and then tied in with it, which I thought was just brilliant. The show itself was a bit slow, a bit episodic. I wasn't too fussed about it. I basically stuck with it because it was S.H.I.E.L.D. and because they brought back Clark Gregg, who plays Agent Coulson throughout most of these films, and I loved the character of Agent Coulson. I thought he was class, so I just had to stick with it. Then when they started to actually feed into and be influenced by the movies, I just thought there's a lot more going on here than people give it credit for. So if you're one of these people who started watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then give up, see if you can track it down, go back to it, watch it all the way through. Just binge watch it. I swear to God, it gets better and it becomes a lot more than meets the eye. Oh my God, I just quoted Transformers. I'm having flashbacks to Age of Extinction. Mom. Okay, I'm alright. I'm back. So that brings us up to date. Guardians of the Galaxy comes out next week, and while that doesn't at the moment directly tie in with what's gone on in Marvel's cinematic universe, as far as I'm aware, it's still got a lot of potential. There is a thread there. At the end of the Avengers, during the post-credit sting, we see Thanos, and he's going to be the big bad in Guardians of the Galaxy. So there is a link. But just talking about that film for a second. When it was announced, I did a cursory glance on the internet to find out what it was about, and then I saw that there were a band of space warriors led by a talking raccoon, and I just thought, oh, this is where it all comes undone. Then at the end of Thor the Dark World, there was a post-credit sting setting up this movie, and we had Benicio del Toro as Space Liberace, and I just thought, yeah, not interested. But then a couple of months and an Ooga Chaka later, the teaser trailer was released, and I was back. I was on board fully. Something about that teaser trailer just absolutely sold it to me. I don't know if it was how good Chris Pratt looked as Star-Lord, or how good Zoe Saldana looks as a green alien. How hot do you have to be to still look that fine when you're green? Or was it just the song? Was it just Hooked on a Feeling that brought me into it? I don't know. But since then, a bit longer trailers have been released, theatrical trailers and whatever, and it just keeps looking better and better and better. And Rocket Raccoon actually looks awesome. He's going to be voiced by Bradley Cooper, even though every time I see the trailer, I'm trying to hear Bradley Cooper's voice and I can't. So that's top marks to you, sir. So that comes out next week. By hook or by crook, I'm going to go and see it. So there should be a review up very shortly. I can't wait. I think it's going to be very different to what we've seen before. I think it's going to be a lot more lighthearted and fun. But it's definitely going to be good. Looking forward, we've got the Adventures Age of Ultron to look forward to. Again, being done by Joss Whedon. Details of that are coming out almost on a daily basis now. Comic-Con's coming up, so I expect to hear a lot more then. After that, we've got Ant-Man. This one makes me sad a little bit. Edgar Wright was originally attached to direct this, and he recently left. I love Edgar Wright. The Cornetto trilogy are fantastic. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, one of the most fun movies I've ever watched. So I was really excited for Ant-Man. Then he left, and as if that wasn't bad enough, directors were turning Marvel down left, right and centre to take it on. So that made me think the script was crap. And that's what Edgar Wright left for, basically. He wasn't happy with the script. Marvel were trying to make him do things he didn't want to do. But eventually they got Peyton Reed in, who I don't know that much about. We'll see what he does. A couple of the cast have come out this week and said that they're impressed with what the script's done and where it's going. So we'll see how it works. I'm also curious to see how Paul Rudd's going to do in a superhero role. Love that guy, but I love him for his comedy. I don't know what he's going to do with Ant-Man. Might work, might not. Also, as I mentioned before, the Russo brothers have signed on to do Captain America 3. And Marvel have recently announced that Scott Derrickson is going to be doing a Doctor Strange movie. Don't know that much about Doctor Strange. Every time I hear his name, I get a mix in my head of Doctor Strangelove and how I stopped worrying and learned to love the bomb, and Hugo Strange from the DC universe. I should really look him up, stop all this confusion. But got a couple of years to wait before that becomes an issue. So yeah, there we have it. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. Possibly one of the most complete groups of films you're ever going to get. Like I said, there's a couple that don't quite make the grade, but that doesn't mean that they're bad films. They're not terrible. They're not unwatchable. They just don't live up to what all the others have done. So let me know in the comments, what's your favourite Marvel movie to date? Are you excited for Guardians of the Galaxy? Are you more excited for Age of Ultron? What do you see coming in the future that's really getting you on board with the Marvel thing? Or have you just grown tired of the entire superhero genre and do you wish it would go away? Sound off, let me know, let's have a debate. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, leave a like below, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, don't tell me mum, and I'll catch yous next time.